Good morning, everyone. We'd like to call the Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Stacy White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everyone, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask at this time if you're able to stand to please do so and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, I pray that you will guide this board, our staff, and stakeholders as we make decisions this morning that are important for Hillsborough County. Lord, I pray that we will continue with good things in our fight against the COVID-19 virus, and I pray that you will continue to put your blessings upon those that have been impacted in any way by this virus. As always, Lord, I pray for our first responders and members of our armed forces. Pray that you will guide them, comfort them, and keep them safe each and every day. I ask for all of these blessings in your heavenly name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner White. Clerk, we have a roll call to establish a quorum.
Yes, sir. Chairman Miller?
Here.
Hagan?
Here.
Kim?
Here.
Merman?
Here.
Overman?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
White?
Here.
And Ms. Weiss?
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Today the board will be presenting 3 recognitions, and the recipients have all joined the virtual meeting today. I hope they're all able to get on the board. The first will be presented by Commissioner Merman. Commissioner Merman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do see Sister Claire on the screen, so I know she is here. Today we're presenting a commendation recognizing Sister Claire LeBoeuf. As you all know, advocating for the safety of our children is a cause that is near and dear to my heart. There really is nothing more important to me. That's why it gives me great pleasure to recognize this amazing woman who has achieved so much in protecting and helping to guide foster children in Hillsborough County. Sister Claire's experience in the field of child abuse and neglect has spanned 40 years. She founded 3 child care programs, including New Life Village in Tampa, which has been so important in providing a supportive environment for children in need of a safe, stable, and permanent family experience. I've known Sister Claire for so many years, worked with her in the legislature, and I'm just honored to present this commendation, which celebrates her incredible work. And I'll read this commendation into the record, and it reads, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners is pleased to recognize Sister Claire LeBoeuf for her unwavering advocacy to foster children, a humanitarian mission that has lasted over 40 years. Born and raised on a small farm in New Hampshire, Sister Claire knows all too well the trials foster children face when seeking a loving home. After experiencing a family tragedy that resulted in her living in multiple households for a year, she ultimately discovered a place where she felt a sense of fellowship. The Congregation of the Sisters of Holy Cross, which she has served for nearly 60 years. Sister Claire's steadfast devotion to children led her to establish 3 nonprofit organizations that support foster reunification and adoptive families. One of these foundations, New Life Village, has been instrumental in providing low-cost housing and a loving environment to foster children within an intergenerational community. Her hard work has earned Sister Claire numerous accolades. In addition to becoming one of the first Junior League of Tampa's Luminary Award honorees, she was named a community hero by the Tampa Bay Lightning Foundation, which is a testament to her compassionate dedication. The Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida does hereby commend Sister Claire LeBoeuf for her commitment to finding permanent, loving homes for foster children and wishes her many more years of success. And Sister Claire, I just couldn't be more proud to present this to you and all you've done to help keep our children safe in the community. And I'd like to just ask you if you'd like to say a few words.
Yes, I would. Thank you very much, Sandy, for that commendation. I'd like to share with you that last Friday, in fact, August 14th, 2020, did mark 60 years, was my anniversary of entering the Congregation of the Sisters of Holy Cross 60 years ago last Friday. And I am proud to say that 2/3 of my working career has been spent in Hillsborough County, Florida, and that it has been a wonderful place to live and work. And so thank you to the entire Board of County Commissioners. And thank you especially for, by the grace of God, continuing to make Hillsborough County a wonderful place to live and work. Thank you very, very much to all of you.
Oh,
Thank you, Sandy.
so much. A real pleasure. We love you.
Okay, thank you very
I
much.
love you too.
Our next memoriam will be presented by Commissioner Overman. Commissioner Overman, you recognize.
Thank you, Chair, and I truly appreciate this. I do have the honor of presenting a memoriam for the former Speaker of the House, Florida House of Representatives, G. Terrell Sessoms. I believe we have a series of family members here today, and actually I see a few of you here, so that's terrific. Including Speaker Sessums' son, Richard. I believe he's here. Yep, I see you. Daughter Sandra, brother Steve and John, his friend Mickey Castor, actually my friend too, and representatives from USF, the EPC, Environmental Protection Commission, and the Tampa Sports Authority. Thank you all for joining us today to celebrate this man's life. I am going to ask that Ms. Slayton actually accept a memoriam on behalf of the family. And I just wanted to share one of the first persons I met after moving here from Washington, D.C. that exemplified leadership is Terrell Sessoms. He helped me understand what that leadership matters, and I was so honored to have an opportunity to meet him when I first moved here. 2 months ago, the state of Florida lost this dedicated legislator who exemplified work in public service and more than 60 years. Terrell Sessoms accomplished so much throughout his distinguished career as a lawyer, a leader of institutions of higher education, a Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, and an advocate for causes that has helped grow the prosperity in Hillsborough County. He is so missed by those who had the honor and pleasure to work with this gentle giant with a passion for leadership. This memoriam further illustrates his lifelong achievements. Before reading the memoriam, I'd like to ask Mr. Brewer to assist us with a very short video that illustrates some of the major accomplishments he gave to us. Thank you. Thank you.
Our story begins with Terrell Sessoms, who introduced the EPC Enabling Act to the Florida legislature in 1967.
I enjoyed sailing, and I had a little 16-foot sailboat. And I sailed out from Davis Island into the bay, and I noticed immediately that I didn't want to fall overboard. There were feces floating around in the water. It was pretty bad. And I said, well, what can I do about it? Well, I was in the legislature then, and I had some idea, but we need to have a public authority that can compose some standards for clean water and clean air that can then enforce them. And I spent the next year figuring out how to get it done. The compromise I made was to make the members of the authority ex officio the Board of County Commissioners, so that we had elected public officials who were basically in charge. I began to get some citizen support, so I came back the next year, and with the change making the Board of County Commissioners the authority, it got enacted into law. So that's how it started.
Thank you. Thank you very much for showing that. And as you can see, he truly exemplified leadership. I'll read the memorandum now. Whereas Hillsborough County Commissioners recognizes individuals whose commitment and dedication have made a lasting impact on the community and its residents. And one such person is attorney, visionary, former Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, Terrell Sessoms, who passed away on June 6, 2020. And whereas born in Daytona Beach, Mr. Sessoms graduated from high school in Jacksonville in 1948 and then attended the University of Florida, where he served as president of both the student body and the debate society, earning the title of Southern Debate Champion, among other honors. And whereas after graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1952, Mr. Sessoms served in the United States Air Force for 2 years, rising to the rank of captain while stationed in Europe and Africa, before returning to the University of Florida and earning his law degree in 1958. And whereas Mr. Sessoms then moved to Tampa, where he began what would become a distinguished career in law and public service that spanned more than 60 years, employing his leadership and multiple skills to help establish some of Tampa Bay region's most enduring institutions and entities. And whereas in 1963, Mr. Sessoms was elected to the Florida House of Representatives, and during his 11-year tenure, included 2 years as Speaker, was instrumental in the creation of the Tampa Sports Authority, University of South Florida's Medical School, and the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County, to list just a few achievements. And whereas a passionate advocate for education, Mr. Sessoms served in leadership capacities for institutions of higher learning, including the Board of Regents, University of Tampa, Florida Southern College, University of Florida, and USF, where he was a member of the President's Council and an active supporter of the USF Honors College. And whereas to state and local affairs, Mr. Sessoms served as a director of the Tampa Sports Authority, the Museum of Science and Industry, Arts Council, the Florida State Fair Authority, Moffitt Cancer Center, and the USF Foundation, and was the president of both the Greater Tampa and Florida Chambers of Commerce, among other causes and organizations. And whereas Mr. Sessoms was widely revered for his lifetime of service, receiving the University of Florida Distinguished Alumni Award, Tampa Civitan Citizen of the Year Honor, Tiger Bay Club Lifetime Achievement Award, League of Women Voters Lifetime Achievement Award, and his name adorns University of South Florida's Terrell Sessoms Mall and Sessoms Elementary School in Riverview. And whereas although the loss of this outstanding man is difficult to bear, his legacy lives on through the improvements he's made to our community, in the way he influenced and mentored others to make a difference, and in all those lives he touched. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby urge all residents to join in expressing both sorrow and appreciation to Mr. T. Terrell Sessoms' family. He is predeceased by his wife of 54 years, Neva Steve Sessoms, and survived by his children, Tom, Richard, and his wife Beth, and Sandra Slayton, her husband John, grandchildren Logan, Danica, Claire, Aaron, Todd, and Sarah, and great-grandchildren, great-granddaughter Harper. He also is survived by his companion, Mickey Castor. This board hopes they take solace in the many cherished memories and positive impacts that Mr. T. Terrell Sessoms made on the community during his lifetime. Executed this 20th day of August 2020, signed by all 7 commissioners. And Ms. Sandra Sessoms Slayton, would you like to say a few words, please? You'll need to unmute your mic. Excellent, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. We appreciate your honoring our father this way. When I was in college, I remember after changing my major 4 times, maybe 5, I asked him why he became a lawyer and why he was involved in politics. And his reply was, I felt that it was the best way to use my gifts and talents to serve my fellow man. And that is what he spent a lifetime doing. He served. He strived to make the community a better place for everyone. He could have chosen things that were better for him or for our family, but he always did what was best for the community. And the community might have been his neighborhood, it was the city, it was the county, it was the state, wherever he was part of that community. He never looked at this service as a burden, but rather as a privilege to serve. So we all thank you for taking the time to bestow this honor on him and his memory.
Thank you very much for those words, and it is our honor to honor him. Is Mr. Eric Hart here? I think I saw him earlier. The president and CEO of the Tampa Sports Authority is with us. Would you like to speak about Mr. Sessoms, sir?
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Sessoms, in 1965, he had one of the visions for the Tampa Sports Authority, as you've recognized, and to plan, develop, promote, and maintain comprehensive sports complexes. That led to the development of the Tampa Stadium. From there, you can see what's happened with the Tampa Sports Authority, and his vision of what we could be has come to fruition. Currently, the Sports Authority, we oversee Raymond James Stadium, Amalie Arena, Steinbrenner Field. Those are visions that came from one individual back in the mid 60s, and his leadership and his guidance over these years and what it has done for us. We've grown into managing golf courses and sports complexes and sports fields. That his vision was truly instrumental in this community becoming nationally recognized with some of the finest facilities that we have anywhere in the world. So, to his family, you should be proud of what your father has done and what he has done for this community. And on behalf of the board of directors and our chairman, Randy Larson, we want to send our regards and thanks for all that he has done.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Hart. I really, truly appreciate those words. I would also like to invite Ms. Janet Doherty, the Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Commission, to offer remarks.
Before Ms. Doherty comes on, everyone, if you're not speaking, please mute your microphones. We're getting a lot of feedback. If you're not speaking, please mute your microphones. Ms. Doherty, you may proceed. You recognize.
Thank you, Commissioner. And thank you for having us today here to honor Terrell Sessoms. To his family, I want you to know that we honored him back in June And we also honored him in 2017 with the EPC's Executive Director Lifetime Achievement Award. And I would also like to offer to you that we shot about half an hour of video with him at Lettuce Lake Park, and we will make sure that you have the opportunity to have that and view that. It was Terrell talking from the heart and basically about all of his community service. One of the things I wanted to just say about him, he was an amazing family man, community leader, mentor, friend, role model, and statesman. In the environmental community, he did so much in education and health and for the Sports Authority, but in the environmental community, he mentored Jan Platt and Dina Levengood, Dr. Garrity, Don Rogers, Roger Stewart. I mean, he was there to help lead and guide. I'll tell you that I found him to be one of the kindest people I ever met in my life. And he always shared freely of his time. And I understand he wrote some memoirs, and I would love to get the opportunity to read what Terrell had to say, because I know it will be impactful. He left his mark on this community, and his accomplishments are second to none. For members of the public who are watching, in 1967, this great man created the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County. And Hillsborough residents can thank him for not only all the environmental protection, but for the clean air attainment that we achieved this March, which we have not had in decades, the clean water environment that's been aided by this agency and the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, and their reduced flood insurance because of our added protection of wetlands. We need to continue his legacy, all of us, and solve problems when we see them, and leave a better environment and place for future generations after we're gone. Again, so sorry for your loss. Your loss is everyone's loss. He was an amazing man. And I'm only 5'2", but he loved to hug, but it was so funny because I felt like I was reaching up to the heavens to always give Terrell a hug. So we will reach out to you personally and make sure that you have all the videos and pictures that we have of your father. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. I truly appreciate those words. I had a similar love of this amazing, gentle giant. I also know that we have Dr. Brian Bogner here, the Vice Dean of USF Morsani College of Medicine, here to offer a few remarks. Dr. Bogner?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone, and a very special good morning to the Sessums family who are with us here today. As alluded to, my name is Brian Bogner. I'm the Vice Dean for Education at the USF Health Morsani College of Medicine. It is really my pleasure to be here today to represent the students, faculty, and staff of the University of South Florida, USF Health, and especially the Morsani College of Medicine. Our Dean and Senior Vice President, Dr. Lockwood, was unable to be with us here today due to a prior commitment, but he sends his sincere regrets and has asked that I say a few words on his behalf. For well over a century, half century rather, although his accomplishments really would fill a century, Mr. Sessoms has been a towering figure in Florida public life. Through his long and distinguished career in public service, he did more than any one person to expand access to affordable, high-quality education for citizens all across the state. He was an unwavering champion for education, and he became an invaluable advocate for USF, USF Health, and the Morsani College of Medicine. As Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives and a member of the Florida Board of Regents, he played a critical role in securing the establishment of both our colleges of medicine and nursing, which were officially signed into existence in June of 1965 through House Bill 1120. He later fought on behalf of USF Health to secure the financial support and funding we needed to successfully grow our young programs during those early formative years. Since its inception, the Morsani College of Medicine has now graduated more than 4,400 doctors in medicine who have gone on to treat innumerable patients across our community, region, nation, and the world. This number does not include the thousands of nurses, residents, faculty, and other healthcare professionals who have emerged from our halls to serve their communities. We are incredibly indebted to Mr. Sessoms for all he has done for USF Health and the Morsani College of Medicine. While he will be sorely missed, his legacy will live long in the hearts of those who knew him, and his contributions to education will never be forgotten. At USF Health, we strive every day to make life better. Mr. Sessoms' life is the very embodiment of that ethos, and we pledge here today to continue to build upon his vision and legacy. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words today, and go Bulls.
Thank you, Dr. Wagner. I really, truly appreciate that. And as I mentioned earlier, it is my honor to honor such a great man. And thank you so much for being here. And you truly have my condolences. Chair, back to you.
Commissioner Overman, did you have a slight overlook of Mr. Richard Sessoms?
Oh, I may have. Mr. Sessoms, would you like to speak? I'm sorry.
No, I'll just, no, my sister spoke, and that's fine. I reflect, or I agree with all of her words, and I certainly appreciate all of y'all for this wonderful honor. My dad did a lot, and it's great to see him honored for it. So thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. Back to you.
Let me say a few words about Mr. Sessoms. In 1992, when I was elected to the Florida House of Representatives, there were some people I called on because I was green and didn't know anything about the Florida legislature except I wanted to be there. There were some people I called on that was in the House at that time, and I called on the late Doug Jameson to understand the process of what was going on. And there was two other gentlemen that I called on. One was former Speaker Lee Moffitt and former Speaker Terrell Sessoms. And the things that they told me to do, I adhered to those things, and I hope I was successful in the legislature. One was don't stay out all night at all those parties in Tallahassee. That was the first thing they told me. Two was read the bills. Read the bills, understand what's in the bills. The third thing they told me was learn the budgetary process, because you can hide money in the budget, because if you don't, they're going to take it from you. And one of the most important things they also told me was learn Robert's Rules of Order and learn the House rules. And I never will forget those things. It was like they had talked to each other and told me those things. And every time I had an opportunity to see Mr. Sessoms, especially at the facility where he was in my district before I left the Senate, I always had an opportunity to say hello to him and thank him for what he did for me. So I just want to tell the family, thank you. We're going to miss him. He was a great man. He did a lot of things in this community and state, and we appreciate you sharing him with us. Okay? Thank you. Commissioner Kemp, you recognize.
Thank you. I appreciate all the wonderful things that have been said, and I know that I am grateful that he was recognized so often for so much of what he did in the final years of his life. He's certainly been, as everyone has stated so well, had a profound generational impact on our community that will last for a long time. And has been, I know that we all stand on his shoulders with the advice and words that he offered, and he and Neva will be missed. So I'm glad to have this opportunity once again to recognize his work in this world. And I'm sorry that he's gone, but he has left such a rich and great legacy.
Commissioner Berman, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I echo all the comments that have been said, and he will be so missed. I, like you, Commissioner Miller, remember in the legislature when I first got elected, it was he and Lee Moffitt, the first two people that came up to me to help me and practically gave me the same advice. But, you know, as the years went on, and remember we had A+ and all the new education reforms, I'll tell you, Terrell Sessoms was always right on the mark with what we needed to do to move forward with education here in the state of Florida. And I was just so proud to know him. He worked with a family member of ours, Richard Salem, for many years, and was a very good friend. And I know his wisdom. Actually, he was so humble, but his wisdom, more than anything, will be missed by so many as we move forward, really with our community and with the state going forward. So thank you for allowing me to make these remarks. And again, to the family, our condolences, but know that he is, we're very proud to have known him and recognize him for his accomplishments. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Oben, for bringing this forward. Thank you to the Sessoms family. I'll present the next memoriam recognizing former Hillsborough County Commissioner Rubin Padgett. When you talk about standing on the shoulders of someone, you're looking at someone who's standing on the shoulders of Rubin Padgett. I knew Mr. Padgett all of my life. He was a dear friend of myself and my wife's for a very long time before he became a member of the county commission. He was a little older than I was, and so I had the opportunity to gain the wisdom from him and his good friend, Delta Stewart, knows that a young man like me had an opportunity to sit around with and talk about things that they had done in their lives through really tough times and share with me the things that I had to do to get to where I am today. So I'm standing on the shoulders of Rubin Padgett. I know his son is here. Nolan Padgett is with us. I think his daughter is here. Is Juanita Underwood with us also?
Yes, sir.
So Underwood, you want to turn your camera on? I don't know if you have it on or not. But it's his son Nolan and his daughter's here. I could go on and on and on and on about Rubin Padgett. Like I tell you, I sit in the car with him sometimes riding around at night just as he stopped at places to talk to people, not campaigning, but just talking to people. And, you know, just letting people know that he was there to help him in any possible way he can. Rubin Padgett was a man of many talents who dedicated himself to others and the betterment of this community. Whether serving as an advocate for seniors or a member of the Board of County Commissioners, he demonstrated an unwavering commitment as a selfless leader. Speaking as his friend and someone who stands on the shoulders of Rubin Padgett, who opened the doors for many of us to be where we are today, I will miss him dearly. But his legacy lives on, and I'm honored to present his family this memoriam and celebration of his achievements. It reads, whereas the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners recognizes individuals whose commitment and dedication have made a lasting impact on this community and its residents. And one such person is Rubin Padgett Sr., a former county commissioner who passed away on March 28, 2020. And whereas a Tampa native, Mr. Padgett was born on November 22nd, 1930. He attended St. Petersburg Junior College, University of Florida, and the University of Chicago. And whereas he served his community as an advocate for seniors, most notably as owner and operator of the Padgett Nursing Home for more than 30 years. And whereas Mr. Padgett's dedication to the elderly and significant impacts statewide during the 1970s and 80s as he was appointed by Governor Rubin Askew to the state licensure board for nursing home administrators and was reappointed by Governor Bob Graham to serve as the board's secretary and chairman. And whereas his love for humanitarian causes led him to be appointed to the Federal Health Care Association under President Jimmy Carter. And during his tenure, Mr. Padgett helped create the Federal Bill of Rights for nursing home patients. And whereas in 1985, Mr. Padgett became the first African-American elected to the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners, where he served as the board's first African-American chairman. And whereas during his 2 terms on the board, he initiated numerous changes that positively impacted Hillsborough County, such as the construction of 3 library branches in the Notasassa, Palm River, and Belmont Heights. And whereas Mr. Padgett was a pioneer outside of the county boardroom, as he was the first African-American to serve on the board of Tampa General Hospital, the Board of Trustees for the University of South Florida, and the Tampa International Airport Authority. And whereas Mr. Padgett's legacy as a community leader was further solidified in 2015 when Hillsborough County named the Rubin Padgett Sports Complex in his honor. I was very happy to be there that day when we did that. And whereas, although the loss of this outstanding man is difficult to bear, his legacy lives on through the improvements he made to this community and the way he influenced others to make a difference in all of those whose lives he touched. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby urge all residents to join in expressing both sorrow and appreciation to Mr. Padgett's 4 sons, Earl, James, Rubin Jr., and Nolan, 2 daughters, Juanita and Rashonda, and a host of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, relatives, and friends. This board hopes that they take solace in the many cherished moments and positive impacts Mr. Rubin Padgett Sr. made during his lifetime. Executed this 20th day of August 2020, signed by all 7 members of the Board of County Commissioners. He will be missed, and I have to thank him for opening the door and bearing such tough times and opening the door for a guy like me to stand on his shoulders and be a member of this county commission. Mr. Padgett, Nolan, you're recognized with your remarks.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. I am humbled to stand before this commission and this board to accept this on behalf of my father and to accept it on behalf of my brothers and sisters and this entire Padgett family. You have read a multitude of accolades that he has reached, and we appreciate that. But nothing could be more important to us, as I speak on my siblings' behalf, of him being a great father. So we thank you so much. We are humbled by the opportunity to be able to accept this award. I appreciate, just as a side note, I appreciate the personal relationship that Chairman Miller, that you and my father had. Witnessed it in person on the many numerous of times I've seen you all together, you and your wife as well. And I thank you for that relationship as well. I thank this entire board for getting him this honor. He taught his family the value of service and the value of servicing others. And so with that, I say I thank you for him giving him the opportunity to serve his district, his community, and this entire organization. Thank you so much, and I humbly accept this on the family's behalf.
Thank you, Mr. Padgett. Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Mr. Miller, to the one that do not know how to cut on her camera.
There's a little icon. It should be a little icon down there, Ms. Underwood, that you can click on. It might have a line through it. Looks like a camera. If you click on that, it should open up.
Oh, well, you know, Les, I done hit everything in my phone, so I don't know how to get back. I'm saying this because my brothers and everybody know how I am with this technology thing, and I just have the camera just for emergencies. But I want to say in open heart that my father really enjoyed the county commissioner life that he had and know how important that you are and the board is, the commissioners are. And he loved it. And he also loved Tampa Housing Authority and working with the Tampa Housing Authority as well. And with all the things that you said, it brought tears to my eyes because my father was truly a blessing. And he called it a blessing seen and a blessing unseen. And he shared with the community, as you know, with everyone else with an open heart. And I love him so much, and we love him so much, but the legacy live on, and that is what keeps us going. And thank you, Nolan, for the wonderful things that you said, and everybody else. I truly, truly love everybody because he taught me to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. And Nolan will work with you on how to get that camera on next time, okay?
Yeah.
Commissioner Overman, you recognize.
Yeah, technology is fun, huh? I am so pleased that today we have actually had the opportunity to celebrate the lives of some amazing leaders in our community. Rubin Padgett always answered the phone when I called him. I lived in his district. And he was no stranger. If I wasn't sure about something, or if I wanted to understand something, or I wanted to learn about how the county operated, he always returned the phone call to give me guidance on how to be part of this community and how to serve. I am honored to have an opportunity to celebrate his life, and I truly appreciate to all of you sharing him with all of us in our community, for he led well and has served us well, and we will truly miss his guidance and his leadership. So thank you, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Ms. Underwood and Mr. Padgett, thank you very much for sharing your dad with all of us in this county. And thank you very much for letting me be a part of his life and learning from him. Again, I know whose shoulders I stand on as a member of this county commission. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Wise, change it to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two items that have been removed from consent for discussion. Item A50, which is to approve the 2020 Annual Infrastructure Assessment Resolution for the county's water district, was removed by Commissioner Kemp. And item A51, also removed by Commissioner Kemp, to approve the 2020 Annual Impact Fee Assessment Resolution for the water and/or wastewater systems. We have two public hearings at 10 o'clock. Item D1 is to conduct a public hearing for the substantial amendment to the program year 2019 Annual Action Plan and to accept the additional COVID-19 funds for Emergency Solutions Grant. And item D2 is to conduct a public hearing establishing the stormwater management non-ad valorem assessment rates and non-ad valorem assessment role for calendar year 2020. At 10:15, item F1 is to receive an update from the Strass Center, which is Commissioner Kemp's item. Those are the changes to the agenda.
Move the changes.
A motion by Commissioner Merman.
Second, Commissioner White.
Second by Commissioner White to approve the changes to the agenda. Then is further discussion. Hearing none, please call the roll on the motion.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We now move into public comment. The board welcomes comments from citizens about any issue or concern. Your opinions are valued in terms of providing input to the board members. However, it is requested at the same time when you address the board that comments are not directed personally against a commissioner or staff member, but rather directed at the issue. This provides mutual respect between the board members and the public. The board has set aside 45-minute period in the morning immediately following changes to the agenda for public comment. At the discretion of the chair, the board may again hear public comments at the end of the meeting. Anyone wishes to speak during this meeting will be able to do so by completing the online public comment form found at hillsboroughcounty.org/speakup. You'll be required to provide your name and telephone number on the online form. This information is being requested to facilitate the audio conferencing process. The chair will call on speakers by name in the order in which they have completed the online public comment form. Prior authorization is on first-come, first-served basis. An audio call-in number will be provided to participants that have completed the form after it is received by the county. All callers will be muted upon calling on and will be unmuted after submission after they're being recognized by the chair. Up to 3 minutes are allowed for each speaker. Citizens speaking on scheduled agenda items will be heard before citizens speaking on non-scheduled agenda items. When addressing the board, please state your name and speak clearly. Our first speaker is James Fugers.
Hello, County Commissioners. Thank you very much for having me speak. I have sent each one of you through email some language for the sanitary truck drivers, the garbage and recycling RFP. I noticed that there was no job protection for the workers in the RFP, and I'm accustomed to having that. where I come from. And so I presented some language that I hope is acceptable to everybody. I'm sure it won't all be acceptable, but it's my attempt as a non-professional resident to provide some language to protect the workers. These are workers who are currently working, who work picking up your garbage, your recycling, your yard waste, your commercial bins, and they could lose their jobs if a new provider is awarded the RFP in any of the districts, which would mean that the new provider would have to provide workers themselves. And these workers who have been with that company, whether it's Waste Management, Republic Waste, or Waste Connections, they would lose their jobs. And I don't think we want that. And they're workers who have been there for many years and who have gone through a lot. These are blue-collar jobs mostly, picking up garbage, and the mechanics, the clerical, they're all good-paying jobs, and these people need some protection against maybe a new employer who says, well, I don't like Jim Fergus because I'm 65, they're not going to hire me. It's a young man's job. But because of one reason or another. And it also provides the new companies the opportunity to terminate for cause under my language. And if there's a collective bargaining agreement in place, then that would take place for that person to be able to dispute their termination. So basically, if I'm assuming everybody has the language. Yes? Okay, I'm just addressing the issue itself. But the language addresses most everything that I could think of when I put this together. And hopefully you can read it over and accept the language into the RFP to protect the workers. And I would be more than happy to meet with the commission, whether it's 2 at a time or
Thank you, sir. Your 3 minutes are up, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Next speaker is Mary O'Brien.
Yes, this is Mary O'Brien. I'm Chief Marketing Officer for Meridian Waste Florida, LLC. And I, too, am speaking in regards to item B5, the RFP for solid waste and recycling collection services. Our goal is to ask the Commission to consider allowing the qualifications to rest more upon the shoulders of the senior management leadership team than the actual legal proposer. And the reason for that is, as you are likely aware, there has been significant consolidation in the marketplace. And it's my understanding that Hillsborough is issuing an RFP to ensure that it has competitive, fair rates for the services to be provided. Unintentionally, I believe, the county is backing itself into a corner where it will only receive proposals from its 3 current providers and maybe 1 or 2 more, but I highly doubt that due to the fact that how solid waste companies do their structure, their legal entity structure, it'll be based upon a Florida LLC. And so my goal is to allow you all to see that there are other very qualified companies of leadership teams that have come from the public companies, started private companies that are well qualified to provide the services to your citizens, that have done it at the 50,000, 70,000, 40,000 level franchise, because both Florida and California are probably the most mature franchise markets. So most states don't have franchises the same size as Florida, but we have the experience doing it. We have the ability to hire the team members that if there is a transition from 1 or more of the haulers, that those same employees that the previous gentleman referred to would have the opportunity to come and work for quite possibly a better company, but definitely a different company. So I just don't want to see Hillsborough County really backed into a corner where you're going through this whole process, you're spending significant time and money, but yet your bids are going to come from the very same providers you've got right now, as opposed to extending it to other providers where our management team has serviced over 800 municipal contracts at one time. Our CEO was the co-founder of Advanced Disposal, who unfortunately will not be able to bid because they're being purchased by Waste Management. Companies like Santec are being purchased by Republic. And there's many others. Allied was bought by Republic. GFL, the new company that's based out of Canada, is on a huge buying spree. They're buying the divested assets of Waste Management, the Advanced Disposal Waste Management program, and they just announced their acquisition of Waste Corp of America. Your pool of candidates is very small at your current criteria of having the actual legal proposer.
Ms. O'Brien, thank you very much. Your 3 minutes are up.
Homes per unit.
Ms. O'Brien, thank you very much. Your 3 minutes are up. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you. Last speaker is Jason Kimball.
Hey guys, so I kind of want to discuss more broadly about the ethics of the Board of County Commissioners here, especially in regards to the mandatory mask mandate, which I know will be discussed later on today. I tried to call at the last special meeting, but the phone was locked. I don't know when you guys lock the phones, but I have a job, so sometimes I can't call ahead. I guess at the requisite amount of time. I thought I'd given enough time. It was 6 minutes before the meeting, but regardless, so I kind of want to discuss the ethics behind approving your own de facto medical device. I mean, you really have to consider what you're doing when you vote on the order that you're going to be voting on today, that you voted on last Thursday. You can't just keep on extending and extending and extending. There's a reason why there are certain requisites to a medical device approval from the FDA and from other regulatory agencies, because there are dangers associated with medical devices. Their efficacy has to be proven. Studies have to be conducted, none of which has happened. But it's like you guys don't want to listen to what your constituents are saying. And, just to highlight, so I'm a Republican, so I attended a Republican club where Commissioner Merman was speaking, and the entire audience, opposed what she was saying. But there was this just complete disregard for what her constituents were feeling. And so now we have a race here. Commissioner Kemp is running against Commissioner Merman.
Sir, hold on. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Speak to the issues. You're talking about campaigns now. Speak to the issue that you're going to talk about. Let's not talk about Commissioner Merman or Commissioner Kemp or whatever the case may be, or any other commissioner. Please stick to the issue, sir. Now start the clock back. Go ahead, sir.
Commissioner Miller, I really don't want to have my public comments interrupted if I'm not being disrespectful and if I'm not personally attacking another commissioner, which I'm not
Sir,
doing.
excuse me. Did you hear what I said when I was reading the comments before? I asked you, please do not. So please, I'm gonna ask you one more time, sir. Please do not talk about a commissioner or any campaign. Stick to the issue that you're supposed to be talking about. Please, I'm asking you to do that, please, sir. Now you can start back over again.
Commissioner Miller, I understand exactly what you're saying. And if you want to hang up on me again, you're totally free to hang up on me again like you did in the Emergency Policy Group meeting. I'm simply making the point that the Board of County Commissioners isn't a commission of rulers. You guys are elected officials, okay? And you have to consider what your constituents are saying. You can't sit as a board of rulers acting in the best interest and what you believe is the best interest of Hillsborough County in total disregards to liberties, freedoms, the opinions and feelings of your constituents. That has to be given significant, great consideration. I'm making the point that ultimately, commissioners are going to be held accountable by the voters if you guys don't seriously start listening to us. People are getting very agitated by this infringement on their freedoms and their liberties for no good reason. So when I talk about particular commissioners, I'm simply stating you are going to see a crossover between, it's like the party lines are going to be dissolved and people are going to start voting for who represents them best. So please consider that.
Excuse me, hold on 1 minute. Hold on, Mr. Kimball. Mr. Kimball?
Okay.
Give him one more minute. I interrupted him. Let him have 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Set the clock for 1 more minute. Mr. Kimball, you have another minute.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. So in general, I'm just urging you guys to really listen to your constituents, I guess, is what is the point that I'm trying to make in this public comment. I don't know how to get through to everybody on the commission. You know, I've definitely been very passionate when I've called in the past. I've been, very conciliatory when I've called in the past, and nothing is seeming to get through. I just hope that you guys will give consideration to what you're doing to the county and to the decisions you're making and to the feelings of the constituents and the voters. And thank you for that extra minute, Commissioner Miller.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was our last speaker, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Overman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kemp to approve the consent agenda. Is in the discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll on approval of the consent agenda.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Commissioners, you still have a few minutes before your 10 o'clock, so I'll ask Cheryl Howell to present item B1.
Ms. Howell, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Cheryl Howell, Affordable Housing Director, Hillsborough County. Good to be here. On item B1, we're requesting that you approve the Memorandum of Understanding between the City of Tampa and Hillsborough County to utilize an alternating system of recommending the 9% low-income housing tax credit projects to the Florida Housing Finance Corporation for funding.
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Merman, second by Commissioner Overman to approve item B1. Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I cannot be more pleased to see this occur. Given affordable housing crisis in our entire county, I am grateful for these kinds of agreements where we have an opportunity to work collaboratively with the City of Tampa. This agreement adds to our arsenal so we can address our existing critical shortage of 54,018 affordable housing units for those in the low income category and 23,076 units short for those in the very low income category. I am so thrilled that we've had great support from this commission, and I look forward to an opportunity to work with the city to tackle this problem. And I just want to say thank you to the city and to Cheryl Howell and to Ms. Weiss on coming together with an agreement that we can approve today. Thank you.
Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized.
Thanks. I'll be fast. Just a credit to our new county administrator, Bonnie Weiss, and I suppose the mayor of the city of Tampa, Jane Castor, that we're just able to hammer out what makes common sense. So this is good, and hope it continues.
Commissioner Merman, you're recognized.
Quick question. We are going first, right, Cheryl?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And it's a great accomplishment. So I appreciate everybody getting on board with us and moving forward, and glad we're first. Thanks.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Merman, second by Commissioner Overman. Seeing no further discussion, please call the roll.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Chairman Miller, I'm still showing 9:59 a.m. So we'll go.
By the time everyone turn the pages back over to the front of the agenda, it will probably be 10 o'clock. So let's move slowly, turning those pages to get back to the front of the agenda. And if you're looking at the clock, just hold on 1 second. I would tell you that's 10 o'clock. There we go.
There we go. That's my little alarm, my 10 o'clock alarm. All righty, we're going to do the first public hearing, item D1, and that's also Cheryl Howell. So how about that?
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Cheryl Howell, Affordable Housing. We're here to conduct a public hearing to accept public comment on the proposed substantial amendment to the program year 2019 Annual Action Plan, and to close the public comment period that started July 16th, 2020, and to adopt a substantial amendment for the program year 2019, and to accept the additional COVID-19 funds for the Emergency Solutions Grant, and authorize the board chair to execute further documentation, forms, and agreements required for acceptance of these funds with approval, with approval of the county attorney's office. Although there is no financial impact related to conducting the public hearing, funding from HUD for the COVID-19 related strategies will be included in the FY19 ESG grant budgets.
Okay. Hold on. This is a public hearing. Do you have anyone to address, to want to speak on item D1? I don't remember getting anything here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing comment and the period that started on July 16, 2020. And we'd have to have a motion to adopt the substantial amendment of fiscal year 2019. I have a motion to adopt that.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Overman, second by Commissioner Kemp. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll on the adoption of the substantial amendment for fiscal year 2019. Please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Now I need a motion to accept the addition of COVID-19 funds for the Emergency Solution Grant and authorize the board chair to execute further documentation, forms, and agreements required for the acceptance of these funds with approve the county attorney's office.
Move approval.
So moved.
That's a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Commissioner Overman, second by Commissioner Kemp. Any discussion? Seeing no further discussion, please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next item is item D2, which is the establishment of stormwater assessment rates, and Josh Bellotti is here to present that item.
Mr. Bellotti, good morning. You recognize, sir.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Josh Bellotti, Engineering and Operations. This is a public hearing to set the stormwater assessment rates for the 2020 tax year. Due to the impacts of the ongoing pandemic, this year's planned phased rate increase is being postponed, and the resolution before you includes no proposed changes from the current stormwater assessment rates. Written notice of this public hearing was advertised in the Tampa Bay Times and sent via first-class mail to property owners receiving a new assessment. The notice has stated the right of affected property owners to file written objections within 20 days. Public Works has received no written objections to the 2020 stormwater assessment. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. This is a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Bellotti. This is a public hearing. I did not receive any notification of anyone wanting to speak on the public hearing. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, then we will close the public hearing. What's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Overman, motion by Commissioner Merman, second by Commissioner Overman. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Ms. Wise.
Mr. Chairman, I guess we will go back to the regular agenda since it's not quite 10:15 and go to item B2, management and budget. This is a budget amendment. Kevin Brickey is here.
Good morning, Mr. Brickey. You recognize.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Mr. Brickey, hold on. If you're not speaking, please mute your mics. I'm getting a lot of feedback. If you're not speaking, please mute your mics. Please. Okay, Mr. Brickey, you recognize.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Brickey, Management and Budget. Item B2 is asking for your approval of an FY20 budget amendment as described in the budget line item detail to transfer approximately $4.6 million from the Public Utilities Department Rate Stabilization Fund to its debt service fund to provide funds for the FY20 debt service on the county's Utility Refunding Revenue Bond Series 2019. This will fund the FY20 principal and interest payments due on the 2019 bonds that were issued in December.
Are there any questions? What's your pleasure?
Move
So mute yourself
approval.
now.
Move approval.
Move approve. Second.
Okay, there's a
I'm
motion.
sorry, I was
I
muted.
think that was a motion by was that Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Merman. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-1. Commissioner Merman voted no.
No, I voted yes.
I'm
I
sorry,
voted
Commissioner
yes.
Merman. I'm sorry. Motion carried 7-0.
I mean, really.
It sounded like no on my side, so apologize for that.
I thought she voted no too. That's why I was looking at what? Ms. Wise.
All right, our next item is item B3, procurement services. Scott Stromer is here to present the next few items.
Mr. Stromer, good morning.
Good morning. Scott Stromer, Procurement Services.
Excuse me, please. Hold up, Mr. Stromer. Please, I'm getting a lot of feedback. If you're not speaking, please mute your mics. And then when I call them for the vote, unmute them. But right now, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, Mr. Stromer, you recognize.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Scott Storm, Procurement Services. Item B3 is asking the board to award and execute a 2-year agreement with the overall lowest responsible bidder, PCS Civil Incorporated, for ongoing and as-needed stormwater work in neighborhoods throughout the county for the Capital Programs Department at a total cost of $12,964,598.78. A disadvantaged business enterprise participation goal of 5% was established for the work, and the recommended vendor has committed to achieving the goal. Procurement Services does recommend approval.
What's your pleasure?
Move
So
approval.
moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Merman, I think that's what it was. Second by Commissioner Kemp. See no further
Yes.
discussion.
Mhm.
Please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Item B4.
And, yes, excuse me. So item B4 is asking the board to award and execute a 1-year agreement with the overall lowest responsibility, again, PCS Civil Incorporated, for ongoing as-needed stormwater culverts work throughout the county for the Capital Programs Department at a total cost of $8,093,461.76. Again, a disadvantaged business enterprise participation goal of 8% was established for the work, and the recommended vendor has committed to achieving the goal. Procurement Services, again, recommends approval.
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Merman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner White to approve item B4 in discussion. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
Commissioners, item B5 is the next item. It may take a little bit of time. I do see representatives from the STRAS here a little bit early, and that's a 10:15 item. Is it your pleasure to do that item, Commissioner Kemp, that's your item, to do that now and waive the rules, or would you like to proceed on with item B5?
Let's waive the rules. I have a motion to waive the rules.
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Merman to waive the rules to take up item F1 in the discussion. Please call the roll on waiving the rules.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Commissioner Kemp, you recognize.
Thank you. Well, I think it's safe to say that everyone looks at the Straws Center as a real jewel in our community, something that we all care about deeply. But I'm not sure everybody has known actually how significant it is, our Strauss Performing Arts Center, just in terms of what it does around the country compared to others. I'm not sure everyone knows that our Performing Arts Center is the largest of all on the East Coast. And did you know that it's the largest touring Broadway market in the nation? One of the largest, I should say. Students come from around the globe to train at the Patel Conservatory. It's an amazing resource that we have here in this community. The Straws has had spectacular year-round shows, events, training, educational programs. It's excelled for 33 years now as one of Tampa and Hillsborough's key economic generators. It's a real gift and jewel in our community, and I know we're all really proud of it and everything that it brings to us. Like so much, and so painfully, it was forced to shut down in March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We have Judy Lisi, the Strass Center President and CEO, to join us today and share with us some of the Strass Center's plans and needs for reopening. I'd like to, she's been with the Strass guiding us, and we are so, she's such a gift to our community, along with Lauren Shepard. They've been both there for 29 years at the Strass, and what a team. Before Judy speaks, I'd just like to say that we should never take any of our wonderful places like the Straws, like so many others, for granted, because they've all proven over and over again how important they are to all our economy, our quality of life, and our future. From the Performing Arts Center, the Convention Center, to Tampa Theater, the football stadium, Mosey Aquarium, the hockey arena, all of the facilities thrive. That makes our economy and our community thrive. So they're all very highly specialized, and they each need our best assistance to get back to full operations and have those impacts that they were built to achieve. So I've asked Judy Lisi to come and help us understand just what is the status right now of the Straws as a large and very complex facility, and what it needs to begin the reopening process. What are the challenges they need our help with? And what does their plan and timeline look like for getting back to full operations with all their shows, events, and communities services? So thank you so much for being with us, Judy Lisi. I'd like to turn it over to you.
Ms. Lisi, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, and thank you so much, Commissioner Kemp and all commissioners. And thank you for the opportunity to report to you today. I know how busy you are, and I want to thank you for all you're doing for the health and benefit of our community during these very challenging times. I am here today to share with you the Strass Center's reopening plan and the impact that COVID-19 has had on our institution. Like Raymond James and the Emily Arena, the Strass Center is a public-private partnership and one of Hillsborough County's premier event facilities, which generates strong economic impact. The Strass brings significant major events from year-round Broadway to national industry conferences and national events like the upcoming NFL nationally televised awards gala, which is in conjunction with the Super Bowl this year, well, next year. We operate year-round and serve the entire region through civic and community events, as well as providing international level artistic and cultural events. We do have a facility with highly complex state-of-the-art systems which need to be cared for and preserved as we begin the lengthy process for reopening and achieving full operations. In addition to serving as a premier event facility, the Straz is an anchor institution that distinguishes itself from other local cultural organizations in many ways. We are a 435,000 square foot facility and a significant community asset, which if it was to be built today, it would cost upwards of $800 million. With 5 indoor theaters, a teaching and training conservatory, and a permanent outdoor Riverwalk stage, the Straz is one of the largest performing arts centers in the U.S. It serves as a community hub, serving 700,000 people each year and a workforce of more than 500 employees. It's an economic generator, fueling an economic impact of more than $130 million, including $3 million in local tax revenue annually. It's a catalyst for tourism and hospitality, driving business to local restaurants and hotels and attracting state, national, and international visitors. It's an essential venue for major national events, for civic and community events, and for numerous local cultural organizations. It's a world-class resource for learning and arts education, both on-site and through 32 community partnerships throughout Hillsborough County. It's a leader in our industry with one of the country's most important Broadway markets. In fact, we call it the Broadway of the South. And last but not least, we are the home for world-class artists from all the performing arts genres that stir our soul and inspire creativity. Even during this long intermission, the Straz Center is not totally shuttered. With input from our health advisors at Tampa General Hospital, we have been able to manage some on-site activity, and there are tremendous improvements taking place directly adjacent to our building. We have continued performing arts instruction in dance, theater, and music at our Patel Conservatory, both virtually and at the conservatory. We are installing a building-wide Verizon wireless infrastructure to provide superior connectivity for the upcoming NFL National Awards Gala, which is affiliated with the Super Bowl and our future audiences. We are hosting a nationally recognized entertainment company to produce, rehearse, and stream a major live concert to a global audience. This is also serving to launch a new business opportunity for during these times. The streets around the Straz Center are being realigned to improve traffic circulation and make way for the 30-plus story Air Tower apartment building. And our Arrival Plaza is being expanded. Construction is well underway on the 340-unit Mill Creek apartment complex directly across the street on the Times Building lot. And expansion and improvements of our Arrival Plaza and Tampa Riverwalk on the southern edge of our campus are moving ahead. However, because of the pandemic, our business has slowed and revenue has ground to a halt, and our ability to carry out our mission is truly in perilous condition. Because we are a gathering place, performing arts facilities across the nation, including Broadway in New York, were among the first businesses in the country to shut down and will most likely be among the last to achieve a full comeback, potentially into fall of 2021. Touring Broadway, which is now completely shut down, is our leading revenue generator and now our leading source of uncertainty. We usually bring 16 major Broadway touring shows each year, consisting of 15 to 30 interstate trucks, hundreds of performing artists, technical and stage crew, business operators for multiple weeks who stay in our hotels, eat in our restaurants, buy goods and services from our vendors. We've had to cut our workforce to the core from 500 dedicated employees to barely enough to keep our basic operations in order to protect our infrastructure and state-of-the-art facility. Our business model is severely challenged. The economic model for major productions require 100% capacity to meet and exceed operating expenses, and our financial stability is threatened. In addition to issuing refunds for canceled performances, we will have to fund the unplanned additional costs of implementing new mitigation efforts to create and maintain a safe environment during this pandemic. We appreciate the opportunity to come to you for support from the CARES Act to fund the extensive mitigation and health protocols essential for us to open. It is estimated that these will cost approximately $2.6 million. And we are grateful to be in discussion with the county administrator of WISE and Mr. Fessler and their capable team as they determine what might be possible. In addition, at some point, we will need support for operations to help us bridge to when we're able to resume our major revenue generators like Broadway, which leverages 70% of our revenue. That's of a $50 million budget. And is responsible for supporting our mission-based community arts and education programs. We will need a hand up like never before if we're going to get from here to there. With no revenue from shows or events since March 2020, and most likely significant revenue will not return until Broadway resumes sometime in 2021, we will most likely need another $6 million to continue operations. Undaunted by our challenges, the Strass Center has been working on our reopening plan to establish safety and health protocols for all who interface with the Strass to sustain our community-based and general programs, to preserve our state-of-the-art facility and make sure it's show-ready for performances. The infrastructure cannot be neglected. I'm also actively working on national efforts with the Broadway League to help Broadway shows and tours get back in business. And our own Lauren Shepard, our Chief Operating Officer, is chairing a national task force with the Kennedy Center for reopening operations and establishing protocols for the nation's largest 30 performing arts centers. Our reopening plan includes 3 phases. Phase 1, in addition to protecting our state-of-the-art facility and creating digital programs, activating outdoor spaces, including performances on our Riverwalk stage and food and beverage service, continuing virtual arts education programs, and initiating on-site programs and programs at the conservatory, identifying new technologies and expanding digital capacity to ensure program accessibility and safe engagement and interaction. Phase 2 will be transitioning to live on-site activities, opening our theaters for smaller works and unique projects, continuing our classes and workshops online in the facility and in hybrid formats, implementing arts education partnerships for underserved schools and community groups through live and online services based on our school systems protocols and mandates. And phase 3, presenting main stage productions that include Broadway opera, symphony concerts, national touring events, and music, dance, comedy, and theater, opening our full facility and campus for civic and community events. And for activities like the Super Bowl, chamber-related events, community events, weddings, graduations, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, events for school system in the city's parks and rec departments, and much, much more. As mentioned earlier, an essential part of our reopening plan is our mitigation program, which is based on analyzing the exposure points and risk levels for 4 main categories: our guests and students, our visiting companies, artists, and back of house staff, our front of house staff, and of course, our administrative staff. Consistent with national recommendations, our mitigation plan outlines guiding principles and practices that reinforce the need for effective communication, training, and sustained on-site preparedness. Throughout the facility, building safety measures will be implemented to ensure appropriate protections in areas, including but not limited to contactless entry and transaction systems, enhanced cleaning and sanitation in lobbies, theaters, and conservatory spaces, the guest arrival and ticketing queuing, food and beverage operations, signage and communications, and our HVAC filtration system enhancements. The mitigation plan also considers protecting the health and safety of our guests and employees by providing comprehensive communications on topics such as everything that you know and have been living with. In closing, we believe wholeheartedly in the role of the Strauss Center in our community's recovery. As a significant business and employer, our ability to operate contributes significantly to our region's economic health. We provide the infrastructure to support the broader arts community, and we provide shared experiences that help people heal and grow through the power of the arts. As a nonprofit anchor facility, an important cultural organization that normally relies on ticket sales for 80% of its $50 million budget, we are looking to our public partners to help us survive the challenges that face us. Please know that in addition to your potential support, we are also actively involved on a national level in advocating for federal support in the Restart Act, which will hopefully include a bill called Save Our Stages, sponsored by Senators Klobuchar of Minnesota and Senator Cornyn of Texas, as well as Kathy Castor on the House side. Please help the Strauss Center to continue to be a major force for good in Hillsborough County, a safe place for shared cultural experiences, and an economic force for businesses and employees that offer a wonderful quality of life for everyone in our community. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions that might help.
Okay, Ms. Lisi, thank you very much for that in-depth report. Commissioner Kemp?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Ms. Lisi for the update. I know we all deeply miss the straws and having it robust and alive, and it's always been so well done, and to see the future plans kind of being put on hold, and the river and Riverwalk area would be is so exciting to look forward to in the future. But I know that I just wanted to make sure that the board and community heard some of the real challenges that the Strauss has, probably more than almost any other institution, being the big indoor performing arts place that it is. And I have to say too, I was, I know Ms. Lisi said it, 500 employees. I hadn't quite realized that as well when I first got onto the board. I was a little surprised by that. So I don't know if there's any other commissioners with questions, but thank you, Ms. Lisi, for the update. And I think it was important, and we will always be there for the Strauss in every way that we can as a board and a community.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, I don't see any other, well, I don't see any, I see hands raised, but you need to put your hands up on the, is it not working?
I have it raised, but I assume it's not working.
Okay, Commissioner Oman, you recognize.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ms. Lisi, for coming to us and sharing with us your challenges. The Strauss is an important nonprofit in our community that enhances our lives, not only in the variety of music and theater programming you offer, but also in the lives of the young people in our community that are educated at the Patel Conservatory. Helping us understand your challenges is important. Unfortunately, the sad reality is the Strauss is not alone. We have many nonprofits that are hurting as a consequence of them having to completely shut down their operations. And I'm pleased to hear that you're able to do some things as we make adjustments to COVID-19. I am also pleased that we're rolling out our program for upcoming nonprofits to assist them in working through this, and look forward to getting funding into the hands of those that uplift our residents and our visitors. I'm also pleased to hear that you're going to be involved in the Super Bowl. I'm part of a commission that's working and that to convene on activities with the Super Bowl next spring. So trying to figure that out is not an easy task. And I commend you for looking forward to see how you can approach those things, and also respect where we are in terms of COVID-19 and the risks and dangers it brings to our citizens. So thank you for bringing your information today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Merman, you recognize.
Very quick, Judy, I've known you a long time, and I just want to say I appreciate everything you've done to make arts very important in the Tampa Bay area. It's been significant. It's not gone unnoticed. Your dedication to making sure that everybody across the Bay Area, is excited about arts, is excited about, the productions and the shows. And I wanted to recognize you for your contributions, and we'll be there to help you in whatever way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Ms. Lisi, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate the work that you're doing. I know it's some tough times these days, but we do appreciate you bringing forth the information that you've given us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, everyone.
Ms. Wise.
Commissioners, we will go back to the regular agenda, and the next item is item B5, which is the request for proposals for the solid waste collection system. George Cassidy and Kim Byer are here. In addition, there's representatives from the County Attorney's Office and our consultants as well for any questions you may have.
Very good. Good morning, Mr. Cassidy.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Commissioners. George Cassidy, Public Utilities. Item B5, we're asking that you approve the solid waste collections RFP, the request for proposals for our procurement activity. Also included in your backup are the changes, summary of changes for the new RFP versus the current contracts that we have in place right now. Commissioners, as we've talked in our briefings and our discussions, we've made significant attempts to cast as large a net as possible over the contracting community to make sure that we've got good participation in this upcoming RFP. We want to make sure that we've got good qualified firms. We want to make sure that we balance our expectations with a good competitive pricing structure. And we think we've got that going forward. At this point in time, there's no financial impacts in this decision to go forward with the RFP and for advertisement. And with that, I will turn it over to Kim and allow her to make a presentation that you've seen before, but she wants to touch upon a few things. And with that, Kim.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kim Byer, Solid Waste Division Director. I'd like to review this 2020 RFP with you, and we'd like to begin with the mission. The mission was to provide cost-effective, professional, safe, and environmentally sound collection services to customers and businesses in Hillsborough County using the best management practices in the industry. That includes utilizing newer and well-maintained vehicles, transparent customer transaction, and allow for innovative operational latitude for potential vendors. Next slide, please. These key provisions we actually took from the 2019 board-approved RFP. You may remember in July of 2019, you approved an RFP for solid waste collections. Those bids were received, evaluated, and subsequently sealed and canceled due to the pricing. Before they were sealed, procurement met with the vendors and asked what were driving these prices up. And through those interviews and the information gained, we try to remove those prescriptive barriers in this new RFP to facilitate lower pricing. So this RFP, before you see it today, has actually been vetted through nationally. It's been advertised throughout the industry and industry journals. We've received several comments, 6 comments from national firms. We've incorporated those comments in this some of those comments in this RFP. We also received comments from our 3 current vendors. In this RFP, we're really striving to balance competition and service expectations. We really wanted to maximize the number of RFP participants in order to increase competition. We received initial interest from 8 nationally recognized service providers. In this RFP, we really tried to remove some of those prescriptive barriers in order to facilitate lower pricing. So we also tried to take some of rather than taking in their number of customers served, we want to look at their management team experience, their financial stability, and also their past performance. Next slide, please. The 2020 RFP and provisions include 3 large collection zones. The current contract has 5 zones. This new RFP will have 3 large zones. They correspond with our different disposal facilities. The Northwest facility, Zone 1 will correspond with our Northwest Transfer Station. Zone 2 will correspond with our Resource Recovery Facility, and Zone 3 in the southern portion of the county will correspond with our South County and our Southeast landfill. These larger zones also allow the bidders to allocate those costs over a larger number of units. One of the other provisions we've added is we've increased yard waste volume for those peak set out seasons, which is February to April. The current contract limits our residents and customers to 2 cubic yards. In this new contract, during that peak season, they would be allowed 3 cubic yards or 18 bags. The new RFP also includes the county taking over customer service and cart management. This RFP includes 2 bid options. One is for twice a week garbage, once a week recycling, and once a week yard waste. The second option is once a week garbage, once a week recycling, once a week yard waste, along with 4 times per year curbside bulk collection. Another option we provided for bidding is the yard waste, what we call the yard waste pricing option. We've been told by several bidders that there may be some cost savings if we eliminate plastic bags curbside. That this will require our residents to use compostable paper bags or their own containers. You'll be able to evaluate those cost savings and award that accordingly when the RFP is brought to you again in December or January for award. This RFP has an 8-year term with a 4-year mutual renewal. The current contract is a 7-year with a 3-year unilateral renewal. This RFP provides for 55% price weighting in the evaluation. The remaining points will be through the operations plan, customer service, and through their past performance. This RFP requires a $15 minimum wage for all full-time employees of the franchise collectors. And we also provide for a 5 or 6 day collection service schedule. And what that does, it allows the franchise collectors to determine if they want to collect waste or recycling or yard waste on a Saturday, or if they'd rather consolidate that into a 5-day work week. Next slide, please. Other important changes are that we really tried to change these requirements that were in the previous RFP to now preferences, and that would be evaluated through our operations plan. The average fleet size would be evaluated, the automated collection, alternative fuel, along with the residential route sizes. Another service benefit through this RFP would also be we are adding yard waste collection on New Year's Day. We currently have recycling. This RFP would add for recycling and yard waste collection on New Year's Day. This new RFP balances liquidated damages and the appeals process. The current contract does not really have an appeals process. This would allow those franchise collectors to appeal any liquidated damages that may incur due to they feel that we're justly penalized. This contract also provides for 3-year limits the commercial contracts for these franchise collectors to 3 years with a 1-year renewal. The current contract allows the franchise collectors to sign contracts up to 7 years. This 3-year term, we believe, will add flexibility to our commercial customers and allow them to seek better pricing or better service after 3 years if they feel that's necessary. Next slide, please. I'd like to turn over the schedule for the RFP over to Scott Stromer right now, and he'll walk you through the procurement schedule.
Scott Stormwater Procurement Services again. So the schedule's pretty straightforward. The key dates on it obviously is today's approval of the RFP. The schedule currently is to issue the RFP on September 1st, so shortly thereafter. As we kind of grind through the letting process, take any questions, all those types of things, it is scheduled to open on October 20th. After that, significant evaluation, with the key dates being that it'd be submitted to the board for approval around December 1st, if that's the board's pleasure. And then on December 16th, actually at that meeting, actually for final approval. Again, that's going to be at the board's pleasure. Now the schedule itself, I mean, there's a few things that could impact the schedule. Questions and addenda. As we get questions, sometimes questions beget other questions. This is an aggressive timeline, but I'm pretty sure we can get through it. If there are challenges to either the scope of work or to the intent to award, if they're protest, we can address those. And again, I think we can do that within the schedule. And of course, negotiation of the final contracts themselves. Changes sometimes come up during the letting process. And I just want to point this out, that if there are cardinal or material changes to the scope of work that are really outside the spirit of what the board approved, those would come back to the board for approval before we would amend the document. The non-material changes that are just generally clarification, or they're just resolving kind of ministerial items, those typically would not come back to the board. They're not changing the spirit of what the board's directed. And just as a precaution, I just remind that once this is issued, there is going to be a cone of silence in effect, and that prohibits communications between the interested bidders and proposers, restricts them to talk to the Procurement Services Department, the Attorney's Office, and so forth. So just be mindful that when we issue this, we'll probably let everybody know that it has been issued. So if you do receive correspondence, just to direct those back to me or my department in general and Procurement Services. Any questions for me?
Okay, Ms. Byer.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the presentation or the RP at this time?
See Commissioner Overman's hand. Commissioner Overman, you recognize.
Thank you. I just want to commend the staff for looking for opportunities to improve our RFP process over our current contracts. And I appreciate the many proposed changes that hopefully keep our prices low for our residents as much as possible, and adding features that will add sustainable efforts on that. And with that, I'll move approval.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Overman, second by Commissioner Merman. Commissioner Smith, you recognize.
Thank you. And yes, I appreciate some of the newer, greener elements of this plan, particularly the RFP, particularly the compostable bags possibility and a preference for alternative fuel vehicles. But in working with staff about how to really maximize the sustainability that Commissioner Overman mentioned, I'd like to make a motion for a small addition to
you can't make a motion. I don't have a motion on the floor.
Addenda, an amendment to the motion for a small addition to the RFP evaluation criteria to allow a stronger evaluation of sustainability goals as in a practical and flexible way, but incorporate a little bit more of that vision into the RFP. So the collection contracts are anticipated to extend over 8 years. And over that length of time, I think it's important to ask for a commitment from these service providers to collaboratively work to help us achieve our county sustainability goals to conserve energy, reduce waste, and explore clean technologies as they develop and build resiliency. Therefore, as part of the RFP evaluation criteria, I would like to see the proposer provide a sustainability plan that outlines their commitment to mitigating environmental impacts of its Hillsborough County operations by reducing air and water pollution and reducing the energy consumed and reducing the waste generated. I would like to see the plan include innovation, mitigation measures, and long-term goals that will be evaluated as part of the proposer's submittal and then monitored throughout the contract term. So that's my motion. I know we all want to ensure that the final contracts provide the maximum benefit to our citizens and our environment and our economy. And I think adding a sustainability plan to the RFP will be a small way that can help us achieve that. So that's my amendment.
Second.
Hold on. Commissioner Smith, you made a motion for the amendment and you went on for about 5 more minutes. So what is your motion?
It's for the RFP evaluation criteria to include a sustainability plan that outlines the provider's commitment to mitigating environmental impacts of its operations by reducing air and water pollution, reducing the energy consumed, and reducing the waste generated.
Okay. We have an amendment by Commissioner Smith. I think we had a second by Commissioner Merman. Was that Commissioner Merman?
Kemp.
Yeah. Oh, I did too.
Okay. All right. We're now addressing the, okay. Commissioners, Merman, you recognize.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask George Cassidy. This man, he spoke in public comment, Jim Purvis, and he mentioned a bunch of things he thought should be in the RFP to protect the workers. And I think I sent it to you and Ms. Garces last night. Could you work with him and then get with him and see if there's anything we can do to accommodate his request? That's all.
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner, we'll be happy to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Kemp, you recognize.
Thank you. I just want to say I know staff has worked really hard on this, and I appreciate all the iterations and a lot more explanation and going through this with me as a commissioner, and I think the other commissioners as well. We had also forwarded those comments that came with regards to the public commenter this morning and the workers. And I can tell you, having not been on the commission when this happened before, but one of the huge drivers was people in communities wanting to keep the people that were their solid waste collectors in terms of the individual staff that went to their houses, drivers and that. So I do think it's really important that we be thinking about that and how it affects these huge staffs for the company. So I'll be interested as well in hearing back from that. But I do want to thank staff for what I think is a well considered good effort to put forward and meet with us and talk to us about the kind of comprehensiveness and thoroughness of this and hearing back a lot of feedback and a lot of involvement.
Okay, we have an amendment to the motion by Commissioner Smith. There was a second by Commissioner Merman and Commissioner Kemp. Seeing no further discussion on the amendment, please call the roll on the amendment.
Miller?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Merman?
Yes.
Overman?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
We're now on the amended motion by Commissioner Ullman and second by Commissioner Merman. Commissioner Kemp, you're recognized. Okay.
Sorry, it was up.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please call the roll on the amended motion.
I have
Yes.
can we get a clarification on the amendment? We'd like to be able to add that sustainability plan as part of the operations plan evaluation. Would that be okay with the board? Absolutely. That's exactly the place it should go. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Please call the roll on the motion.
Miller?
Yes.
Hagan?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Merman?
Yes.
Overman?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Right, and thank you all commissioners, and thank you to staff and the county attorney's office and all of our consultants to get us to that point. Really good job. The next item is item B6. And Kim, I believe you're here to handle that as well.
This is item B6, we're actually here to approve a budget amendment to realign $20,995,999 within the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund by transferring funds from the Solid Waste Renewal and Replacement Fund to the Solid Waste Rate Stabilization Fund. This action aligns the renewal and replacement fund balance with the system engineer's recommendation and provides for funds in the rate stabilization fund for use next year if needed to help offset cost pressures for the operation and maintenance of the solid waste system.
Move approval.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Overman, second by Commissioner Smith to approve item B6. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll on the motion.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is Commissioner Smith's item, item F2, to reappoint Dwight Wells as a land use hearing officer.
Commissioner Smith, you recognize.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioners, you know, we have a serious shortage of land use hearing officers. We had a shortage before COVID. We have been making do with only 2 hearing officers for some time, which made it difficult, among other things, for either of them to go on vacation. Now the problem has gotten worse because we have a backlog of land use cases building up during this time when the pandemic has forced us to delay public hearings. So on May 20th, we as a board voted to reappoint one of the 2 hearing officers we already had. A winter term was up, and we voted to appoint 2 more. One of those is waiting for some conflicts to resolve, and the other one, Mr. Wells, had to withdraw after his appointment temporarily, but is now fully able to assume the post that we had previously voted to appoint him to. So now we just have to reappoint him as a procedural matter. A staff in Development Services, County Attorney, and the clerk's offices say that this is the procedure that we need to go through to reappoint him. So that's my motion, to reappoint Mr. Dwight Wells as a land use hearing officer.
Motion by Commissioner Smith. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A motion second by Commissioner Overman. Is there any discussion on the motion? A discussion on the motion. Seeing none, please call the roll on the motion.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Commissioner.
Yes. Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Now we're on to staff reports, and the first staff report is item G1, to receive the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program update, better known as PACE. And Frank Strom and Eric Olson are here to present that item.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Board of County Commissioners. Frank Strom, Consumer and Veteran Services. Item G1 is an update on the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, commonly known as PACE. As a matter of background, PACE is a voluntary financing method that provides funds to residential, commercial, or industrial property owners seeking to make qualified energy or wind hardening improvements to their property. In Florida, PACE is governed by the requirements and qualifications defined in Section 163.08 of the Florida statutes. Unlike traditional loans, the obligation to repay a PACE loan is handled through a lien on the property being improved. Payments are handled through a non-ad valorem assessment on an annual property tax bill, and the obligation to repay the loan passes on to the new owner when the property is sold. Also, unlike traditional loans, the borrower's credit rating is not a factor in qualifying for a PACE loan, nor does the PACE loan itself impact the borrower's credit rating. Instead, Florida statute defines the requirements a borrower must meet to qualify for a PACE loan. In late 2016, staff was directed to develop minimum requirements and to issue a request for qualifications. Staff issued the formal request for qualifications in January 2017, and final agreements were presented to the Board of County Commissioners, and Resolution R17027 was adopted by the board on the regular meeting on March 1st, 2017. At this point, I'd like to invite Eric Olson, who is our Manager for Consumer Protection, to provide some data points and overview of the program since inception. As well, we have invited Brendan Sharamonte with the Tax Collector's Office today to answer any questions the board may have in regards to tax requirements. Thank you. Eric, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present this information to you today. Allow me to share my screen with you. I have a presentation here. Okay, can you all see this?
Yes, sir.
All right. What you're seeing here are the parent lender companies currently authorized to operate in Hillsborough County and the third-party administrators who hire and manage the licensed contractors to
We just lost
perform.
it. We just lost it, sir.
Let me see what happened. I apologize for that.
Okay.
All right. So these are the third-party administrators who hire and manage the licensed contractors to perform the actual improvements on the properties. In addition to the basic administrative information you see here, we've also included some of the data on defaults of the non-ad valorem tax assessments as information received from the tax collector. The program is still fairly new, and if defaults were to continue, a tax certificate would be sold on each property, which may or may not have occurred in some of these cases. As you are aware, if taxes remain unpaid after 2 years, the property can be sold through the tax deed sale process. We're monitoring this situation closely in coordination with the tax collector's office. This slide represents the efforts of our office between May of 2018 and July of this year. Under Consumer Protection Services, we've received complaints from local residents and primarily receive these complaints as they originate from the residents themselves. The 16 complaints that we've received between May of 2018 to date, and these complaints reflect that we've received and we've been able to recover over $63,000 in consumer recovery out of 6 cases. The remaining cases were referred to the Attorney General. I've got a breakdown of cases here that shows which of the third-party providers had the cases, whether it was Renew Financial, Counterpoint Energy, Renovate America, or Y-Green. These are the 4 primary that are involved in Hillsborough County. 2 cases are open, pending additional action by state regulators. There are options for future program enhancements. A updated quarterly reporting form could be provided to third-party administrators that would require additional self-reporting of the number and type of complaints received and the outcome. As well, an additional affirmative disclosure statement, which is not currently being provided, would provide detail to the consumer on program impact and the connection to the taxes. That's not always clear in these cases. Truth in lending disclosure as well would provide clear financial information to the consumer on the rate and the total amount financed. In addition, potentially increased oversight capacity through auditing could be improved upon. Comprehensive audits could be performed by the auditor, which are currently not being done, and periodic audits performed by county staff would be a benefit. Increased sanctions against providers could also be an enhancement that would provide for the potential for removal of the program based on excessive or repeat issues or failure to resolve them, and potentially a 2-year renewal requirement based upon performance. That is the end of my presentation today. I am available, either I, Director Strom, or Brenda Chiramonte are available from the Tax Collector's Office to take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. As you may or may, I asked this to be brought back a while back, and as you know, when we were discussing this PACE operation back some time ago, even our staff had some concerns about PACE and how it was going to be implemented and things on those lines, because we were paying close attention to our neighbors in Pasco County and what Mike Fasano was doing with PACE and the things that he's ran into up there in Pasco County. And I want to thank our staff for trying their very best to try to rectify some issues that we have here in Hillsborough County. I don't know about you members, but I received a couple of emails concerning some things that have happened with PACE that to me is totally unethical. And they prey on the most vulnerable of our citizens. And the difficult part about it for me is that the majority of them is in my district on some of the people that they just basically preyed on the weak, those that were just at a point of down and out. I'm gonna read something to you that came across yesterday. I'm not gonna read the entire thing because it's very long. But this is the type of thing that I received since we started operating with PACE. And it says, my sister owns a home, I'm not going to give where it is, since 1972. It is a 864 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, built in 1967. My sister is physically disabled and mentally slow. Her total monthly income is $600 from disability. Because she does not have a mortgage on her home, she's not eligible for food stamps or welfare. In March of 2017, a flyer was posted on her door one day after her air conditioner stopped working. The following day, a man who told my sister that he worked for Hillsborough County was there to help her with her air conditioner. He told her that the county had a program that would pay for her new air conditioning from property taxes. She did not have a smartphone or a tablet. We all probably know why, because she couldn't afford to have that. And does not know how to operate a computer. She signed a proposal that he told her he needed to prove that he had offered the program to her, but that her form had no price or estimates on it. The contractor started the work a day later, and the job was finished in less than 3 days. The work was performed without a permit, and the notice of commencement was filed 2 weeks after the work was completed. In June, she received a package of forms in the mail that she had forwarded to me. The contractor charged her $16,500 for the air conditioner. $16,500 for an air conditioner in an 800 square foot home, plus more than $13,000 in interest over 15 years. For an air conditioner in a 864 square foot home. Her tax bill was increased by $1,984, and there was no way for her to be able to pay the bill, and she fell behind the quarterly property taxes. Fortunately enough, I think some help came her way, and she was able to bail out the property taxes. But the mere fact is that $16,500 air conditioner was put in home. And look, I got a huge air conditioner in my home that we placed last year. It didn't come anywhere near $16,500, plus the fact $13 in interest over 15 years. This is unethical. It is wrong. Should have never happened. And I have some major, major problems with that. So therefore, I'm going to pass the gavel to the vice chair and move that effective immediately we resolve our contracts and resolutions with PACE to do work in Hillsborough County. That's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Miller. We have a second by Commissioner Kemp. Smith.
Commissioner Merman is next to speak.
Okay, Commissioner Merman, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you very much. I was the commissioner that brought this program to the commission. And at the time, yes, there were concerns. And but we looked at the other counties that were implementing programs, and we thought we were putting a strong program together. And I think this was always going to be, well, let's see how it works, and then we'll come back and review it. Well, now we're reviewing it, and I think there's just some major problems here, and I actually think it requires state legislation. They're going to have to require stronger program requirements. I know former Senator Mike Fasano, who's now the tax collector in Pasco County, I know has proposed some things, but I think given the fact that these poor individuals are being preyed upon unsuspectingly, they're facing, they could even face foreclosure. Even during this pandemic, I mean, I can't even think of something worse that could happen. And with all these interest rates, just because there were overpriced improvements and financing through PACE. And I think it's unconscionable that, these people really were preyed upon. And I went back through my notes, and I think it really did have strong potential, but given the fact that they're preying on people that don't know how to look at contracts or whatever else is involved in this, or pay attention to what the interest rates are going to be, I just think it's not right. And they should not be vulnerable when they need air conditioning for their home and different things like that. So I think, yes, we should rescind it now. And possibly if it comes about, it comes back from the state that they got strong program requirements in there, then maybe we can relook at it again in the future. But I think right now, thank you, Commissioner Miller. And I know this isn't the first constituent case you've had on this. And I thank you for bringing this forward because it's just not right. And we need to protect our citizens as much as we can. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith is next.
Commissioner Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Commissioner Miller, for bringing this to the board in this way. We've received, I've gotten some really good information. I know you all have too, from the Greater Tampa Realtors Association and from various professionals in the real estate business telling us how this works and explaining the pitfalls of it. But that letter that you read, Commissioner Miller, I saw that when it came in last night and it moved me almost to tears. I mean, that is a heartbreaking example of the way that unscrupulous scam artists are taking advantage of our citizens through this program, and it's just got to stop. But even in the best case, you still have problems with it, where a new home buyer is paying for whatever improvements were made to the home, and also finding this assessment on their tax bill after they buy the home. So they end up paying twice. So there's a whole lot wrong with this, but especially the way that it is allowing our citizens to be taken advantage of in these terrible ways and thrown out of their homes for not being able to afford the lien. This is a superior lien on the home. So it's a very, very dangerous situation. And thank you very much for leading us to rectify this situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Does anyone else have their hand raised?
Commissioner Kemp is next. Commissioner
Kemp, you're recognized.
I'd also like to thank you, Commissioner Miller, for bringing this forward. It is, we cannot let this continue. And I just wonder, with the complaints we've seen, we've probably only seen the tip of the iceberg. When I was in law school in Pinellas and worked with legal services in Pinellas County, way before PACE, there were all kinds of unscrupulous contractors, and they would go into generally Black neighborhoods, and they would target homes that were completely paid off, usually most often targeted single older Black women whose homes were paid off. They would get them to sign off on a horrible contract, and this isn't even with a lien. This isn't the PACE program, but something where they would promise them their house was in need of repair. They didn't have the money, and they would make a contract to do all kinds of work. They would have them actually signing their houses away, and they would end up, I hope all of them, but I don't think nearly all of them, at Legal Services, where we were able to have many of the contracts rescinded for lack of whatever provisions that were not in there. In the meantime, the contractors would go in, they would do shoddy, substandard, poor work, nowhere near the cost, and the all around, it was a terrible thing. And it seems like the PACE program in some cases looks to be a modern way of doing that, but with the consent of Hillsborough County as a party to allowing this bad practice to continue. So not only that, I also wonder, I'm glad to rescind it until we have some standards in there. I also wonder about looking at I'm just wondering if we don't get complaints from a lot of people that are in trouble, and we're liable to see a whole lot more with this economic turndown that's coming. I would also like to just say that we do have a program that's wonderful that we do in Hillsborough County that would have handled these same things, and that's the Solar and Energy Loan Fund SELF program, which I brought. Hillsborough County has approved and actually funds, and that's a not-for-profit, and it's actually a bank program that does lending and does oversight of the contracts and makes sure that their contracts are done well for people who have not credit or resources, but have property and can make some investment to make sure that they have good work done. So I just want to make sure that everyone who may have been exposed to this knows about the SELF program, Solar and Energy Loan Fund program, because it does amazing, incredible work, and that is a sanctioned Hillsborough County program. But thank you for bringing this abuse by the PACE programs. It has to stop. It can't continue. So I'm there with you.
Commissioner Smith and Kip, you want to put your hands down? Okay, Commissioner Overman, that's it.
Thank you. I actually did have a couple of comments too. I appreciate putting a stop to this. I do critically of the program in that it doesn't require the same kind of underwriting that any other type of loan program does. Our staff has provided us with some good recommendations to suggest to the state, should they choose to continue offering this type of program, to improve it to allow for individuals to finance needed improvements for their homes. But clearly without the oversight, and as a person who has worked with people's finances before, and I have a clear understanding of financial literacy, the opportunity for abuse in this particular area is too great. Without the proper underwriting requirements and truth in lending requirements associated with a lien that is attached to someone's homestead that would put their home in jeopardy, and then complicates the transfer of the property to a future homeowner if it were to be sold. So I appreciate this and will support the motion. With that, please call, unless there's no other comments, please take a roll call vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you, members. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Ms. Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is item G2, staff report on the Water Star certification. Adam Gormley is here to present that item.
Mr. Gormley, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adam Gormley, Development Services Department. This report is being brought to the board in response to a motion and an item brought up by Commissioner Overman at the April 17th Board of County Commissioners meeting to look at ways to encourage water-saving conservation efforts. We have met with various partners in this, including SwiftMud and Tampa Bay Water, and have spoken to the Tampa Bay Builders Association, as well. And what we've identified is a program called the Florida Water Star Certification. This is a program that started with the St. John's Water Management District and is partnered with SwiftMud and Tampa Bay Water, as well as the Florida Home Builders Association, to promote this certification program. Essentially, what this program puts forward and promotes is water efficient design and use of new residential homes, particularly in the areas of the landscaping that's chosen, the design and construction of irrigation, the use of the irrigation, and indoor water facilities such as low flow shower heads and commodes. The program is a voluntary program that has a inspector that will inspect structures as they're being built to ensure, for those projects that sign up, that ensure that the criteria in the landscaping and irrigation design and construction is met. At the conclusion of the construction, that certification would be granted to projects that do meet the prescribed water saving criteria. We've identified that there's a potential for significant water savings on a monthly basis for homes that meet the Water Star certification. Probably the most significant part of that is the calibrating the landscaping that's installed and the irrigation on the lot to provide for low flow irrigation and not total coverage with basically high water demand sod. The program does have a funding component that is partnered with Tampa Bay Water. It's been estimated that it costs approximately $1,000 per unit to meet the Water Star certification, and Tampa Bay Water and SwiftMud do provide a rebate program of up to $1,000 for builders that do meet the Water Star certification. I have spoken with the Tampa Bay Builders Association, the executive director, who is very aware of this program and is very enthusiastic about promoting it. They too indicated they feel that this is a plus to not only the builders who save money on irrigation while they own the lots, but primarily to the homeowners who then have the homes that have lower water bills and lower demand on our potable water. They, in fact, at their mid-year meeting yesterday, had a presentation from a representative of Water Star to help promote their program. We're aware that at least one national builder in the area has been using the program, and what we would like to offer or like to do is to try to promote this to our industry partners as they enter our system, both at the platting stage where the lots are being initially established, and also through continued coordination with Tampa Bay Builders Association and their associated members to promote the availability of this program and the benefits that it'll bring to the builders and homeowners and the community as a whole. Lastly, we would like to initiate some partnership with our county communications team to help provide some promotional information that makes this program more widely known and available, and tout the benefits of those projects that do undertake the Water Star certification. That concludes my report on this. I'm available for any questions, and I also have our Natural Resources Manager, Carrie Moore, on the line in case there's any detailed particular questions about the program.
Thank you, Mr. Gormley. Appreciate that very much. Commissioner Overman, you recognize.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Gormley, for this valuable report. We need to do anything in our power to proactively address our water capacity issues. As we've heard, as we look at our water resources, our low pressure water problems, all of the things. And so this is a great way of actually doing good work by creating a Water Star certified home opportunity for sustainable home ownership and saving an average of 4,000 gallons a month when it comes to water. As the average increase cost to construct a certified home is likely covered by the rebates offered by Tampa Bay Water and SwiftMud, I hope our development community can help us create a more sustainable and eco-friendly homes in the areas in Hillsborough County. I also want to say thank you and appreciate the initiatives coming out of our University of Florida IFAS Extension Hillsborough County with Extension Office with Hillsborough County in terms of the education and the irrigation audits that they prepare. For 2019, the water reduction for irrigation audits conducted were 25.1 million gallons. And that's a wonderful impact, and we can do it even more as we promote and partner with our developers for this Water Star certification home. And with that, I'll move to receive the report. Your other questions and comments.
Motion by Commissioner Overman. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Smith to receive the report. Seeing no further discussion, please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
And thank you, Chairman Miller. The next item is item G3. This is our continuous update to you on the COVID-19 program and activities. Tom Fessler is going to begin that report. Before he starts, I just wanted to give a little bit of an introduction because, Commissioners, as you are aware, the efforts of our employees undertaking this virus is vast. And whether it's through emergency management, facilities, economic development, or the various other social programs that we highlight at each board meeting, all of our employees have been impacted in some way. And the way we deliver services to the community has been altered, maybe somewhat forever. And this COVID report always gives us the opportunity to provide you that information and an opportunity for me to thank our employees, all of our employees and recognize their outstanding service that they provide to our community. So I just want to thank you for that. And none of this could be possible without the partnerships we have amongst the various community agencies, the hospitals, the universities, and the municipalities. And when I've previously presented this item, I was remiss in not thanking the County Attorney's Office and specifically Christine and her staff because they work tirelessly with us, often into the evening. And I want to publicly thank them for that and helping us implement the various programs in the community. So with that, I'd like to ask Tom Fessler to go through the COVID report. And then Ivy Martin's going to give a little bit of an update at the end about the impacts on our employees. Thank you, Commissioners.
Mr. Fessler, good morning. You're recognized.
Morning, Commissioners. Yes, I wanted to share the report with you.
Come on.
Yep. Okay. Yes, Commissioners. I'm sorry, my computer's a little slow today.
You can see us.
Technology at its best.
I see a lot of free print screens.
Can't live with it, can't live without it.
Seems to be a with issue.
There we go.
So Commissioners, again, this is a report that we bring to you at every meeting. What we'd like to try to do as we go through this report every week is kind of highlight areas where we're having some successes and some areas we think where we can focus on some things that, that would be important to you. So today, at the end of my presentation, Ivy Martin, our HR director, Human Resources Director, will give you an update on kind of where we are as it relates to the safety of county employees and the progress that we've been making in that area. At this point, I'll run through kind of, again, the things that we go through every week. The first slide here is basically you've seen this at the last meeting. It identifies that our economic recovery program started back at the end of June, beginning of July. To date, we've had almost 3,400 applications that have been received. About 2,700 of those are being processed. We've paid out $2.7 million with an average payout of about $8,500. We have a total of about $30 million that has been requested, and it's about 19 days to pay. One of the things I needed to point out in this area is today on the consent agenda, you did approve the consolidation. We have 3 programs in this area, and today you approved basically consolidating those 3 programs into one. Over the last month and a half, we have learned a lot about, we've learned a lot, and we believe that consolidating those programs and providing some efficiencies in the process, and also adjusting the payments that are available to the business community, which will provide them with some enhanced payments, and tiering the structure to it will provide us a greater benefit going forward. So the downside to that, or the thing that we're going to be doing is for about a week and a half, we will be not accepting any new applications as we convert to the new program, the new consolidated program. But when it reopens, we will make the program available to more businesses in the community. We're increasing the level at which businesses can participate. We are tiering the structure so that previously the maximum payment was about $10,000. Under the new program, businesses can receive anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 based on the number of employees they have. Again, we've learned a lot, and we think that this change to the program is going to really allow us to get more dollars out to the community much quicker as we reopen. A little bit of information on the applications received so far. You can see it by district, the spread by district. You can also see that about 55% is in the unincorporated area, about 39% in the city of Tampa, and about 5% in Temple Terrace and Plant City. So it pretty much follows, or very closely follows, the population within the county. As far as the workforce training, which we have again contracted with Career Source Tampa Bay to assist us with, you can see that we've got job seeker training applications of almost 1,000. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, 2 weeks ago, this number was about 400. Job seekers that are in the queue for training is 62. 2 weeks ago, that was 13. So the point being that this is really starting to ramp up now, and we should start to see some very significant results. Then we get into our utilities, housing and utility assistance program. This launched back on August 3rd, and to date, within the last 2 weeks, I guess the first thing I'd like to point out, we had our phase 1, which was a couple of months ago. We assisted about 1,600 residents, about $3 million, average assistance of about $1,700. Again, we learn a lot as we go through implementation of these programs. So we revised the program, we relaunched it at the beginning of August, and just within the last 2 weeks, we've received over 4,000 applications with $21 million requested and an average assistance request of about $5,400. So again, what the point being is we believe we're getting a lot more assistance out into the community. We will be very shortly. That's very important as the eviction stay from the state is expiring. But we're seeing some really good success in the housing utility assistance program, and we believe that in the business recovery program, we're going to see the same success when we relaunch in about a week and a half. Again, we just want to kind of show you the spread, 64% unincorporated, 30% City of Tampa, and about 5% in Plant City and Temple Terrace, and then applications by district. Other programs in the life safety area, again, food supply of almost 2 million meals served to 263,000 residents. You can see some of the facility and safety improvements that we have. We have a lot of activity going on. Some good news, when you look at our inn at University Village, this is the step-down facility from individuals that were in hospitals, that we're trying to relieve the burden on the hospitals and get them, the patients that don't need as much care, back into the community. They're going to the inn at University Village. You can see we're down about 15. The census is down about 15 since July 23rd. On our homeless program, you can see that that's almost been cut in half since July 23rd. And at the quarantine and isolation site, we're down 35. Census is down 35 from 723, down to just 7 at this point. As far as PPE testing that we're doing, the case information, hospitalizations, and deaths, I wanted to point out as far as the testing that's being done, the last report showed about 76,000 tests. This report shows 90,000 tests. So you can see that we are very active in that area, and we're continuing to test a lot of individuals. As far as the dollars that are getting out into the community, we're at the very beginning stages of kind of seeing a very significant ramp up in this area. Last report, I think, showed about $3 million of disbursements. We're now at 6. We are going to be bringing back to you, or the plan is to bring back to you, agreements with each of the cities at your next board meeting. Those agreements will total in the neighborhood of about $25 million that will be passing through to each of the cities for requests that we receive from them. So again, I think we're going to see with the utility program and with the new business recovery program and with the dollars passing through to the cities, a very significant ramp up here within the next month or so. This slide represents basically FEMA reimbursement type expenditures. We're at about $16 million. Again, the point here is that the state, the federal government will reimburse us 75%. The state will reimburse 25%. Or I'm sorry, the state will reimburse 12.5%. The remaining portion would have been for the county. However, we are able to reimburse ourselves from CARES Act for the matching portion of these dollars. And then finally, you had seen this last time also, these are some other grants that we're currently receiving related to the virus. That shows that we have actually additional support also of an additional $20 million to date that we're receiving through other grants. And with that, I will turn it over to Ivy Martin, who will kind of go through what's going on with kind of county employee safety and what the county is doing to kind of start to work employees back into the workplace as it's appropriate.
Ms. Martin, you recognized.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Ivy Martin, Director of Human Resources, and I'm here to provide a brief update on the status of COVID-19 cases under the County Administrator's Office and the transition of employees back to the workplace. You may recall that when I came before you at the last board meeting on July 15th, the COVID-19 positive cases were at an all-time high. At the time, we had 65 COVID-19 positive employees and 302 quarantined employees. As of this past Monday, August 17th, we currently only have 8 employees under the County Administrator's Office who are COVID-19 positive and 34 employees who are quarantined due to exposure or symptoms. Now, this is a significant decrease of 87% in COVID-19 positive employees in just over 1 month's time, and an 89% decrease in the number of employees needing to be quarantined. So for comparison, since March, we've had a total of 125 total employees who contracted COVID-19 under the County Administrator's Office, and a total of 1,042 employees quarantined due to exposure. As our cases of positive employees have continued to decline, employees who contribute to essential operations have begun transitioning back to the workplace from telecommuting. Thank you, Tom. We have had 26% of telecommuters transition back to the workplace as of July 27th. This percentage accounts for 361 employees transitioning back to the workplace full-time and 139 employees transitioning to a hybrid working model of telecommuting some days and working on-site in a county facility on others. It is important to note that we are still encouraging departments and employees to continue telecommuting as much as possible and only have essential employees return to the workplace on an as-needed basis. As employees slowly integrate back to an on-site work model, maintaining increased safety is paramount as it relates to our employees. Next slide, please. Numerous safety protocols have been implemented, including an administrative directive on building entry and safety protocols. This directive includes temperature screenings upon building entry, as well as strict procedures on the steps to be taken when a COVID-19 positive person is in the workplace. In cases such as that, some of the key steps I'd like to highlight are displayed on this slide, including the evacuation of the impacted work area or areas. Then a deep sanitation occurs and impacted employees are notified of their potential exposure and the requirement to quarantine if applicable. I'd especially like to highlight Tom Foss, John Muller, and the facilities team on the excellent work that they've been doing in ensuring the appropriate safety modifications have been made to the work locations, and that the sanitation of work areas not only occur daily, but also they complete the deep cleanings of impacted work locations within hours of notification. This completes my brief update, and I'm available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Mr. Fester, is there anything else?
Commissioner Miller, just one more area I'd like to address very quickly is the nonprofit area. I just wanted to let the commissioners know that beginning this Monday, we're going to start to kick off our nonprofit programs. We highlighted those at the last meeting, but just again, real quickly, we have what we're going to be launching is a venue program. So that will be a couple of different levels of that. We've got the organizations that we currently fund, such as the Zoo, the Aquarium, Mosey, Straz, Tampa Museum of Art, Tampa History Museum, Glazer Children's Museum, and Tampa Theater will be eligible under that program. And then also we will make the program available on a second phase out to the community for the venue program for youth-based programs, providing services such as camps, after school, and other instructional type activities. We will also be launching probably around the 1st of September, our child care facilities program, which will provide operational support from up to, at this point, we believe at least $10,000 to child care facilities. And then finally, our safety net programs, which will provide things such as our funding to organizations that provide various social services, food, shelter, and things of that nature. And again, those we believe are going to be in the neighborhood of about $10,000, which will also be launching near the beginning of September. And with that, that concludes our report.
Okay. Mr. Fessler and Mr. Martin, thank you very much for your presentation. Let me say this. Our staff, since this pandemic started, and I'm going to talk about all the staff that have just been working day and night to meet the needs of the people of this county that were hurt really bad by this pandemic. And they have put together programs, I mean, very fast programs that overnight they implemented was able to help people in this county. And I want to thank you for that. I know I've been on the phone. I was on the phone a lot with Ms. Audrey Ziegler. Because I started getting a lot of phone calls myself, and I was calling her, and I know I was probably bugging her to death, but she was there with her staff to help in every aspect we possibly could. So I just want to tip my hat, Ms. Wise, to all the staff that was involved in making a difference in this county during this pandemic, and Ms. Martin, to you and your staff for working very hard to make sure that all those that were affected probably got the best care they probably could get from the county, and all of the safety protocols have been put into place to make sure that those that were able to come back will stay safe. So thanks to each and every one of you. I don't see any hands at this particular point in time. Is the hand indicator working? Okay, so I see no hands to make a motion to.
I had my hand up.
Hold up. The hand indicator not working?
No, mine was up.
Hold up, Miss. Hold up. I want it to work because I don't want to hear it screaming in my ear like that. That's the problem.
Sorry.
Okay, Commissioner Kemp, you recognize.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that this is good news to see the numbers or the need go down for the quarantine, the isolation, the affected employees. So I'm glad we're on this trajectory, and I'm sure it's related to what I see as great community observing of mask wearing and the kinds of things that were put in place, like the bar closings and some of the large gathering places. So it looks like I'm sure that's a result of more observing of this, and it shows that we can do something to make a difference. And I say that in the big we as a community in all ways. I have one other question. I've just been curious about this. When I saw the deep cleaning that was going on, typically though, and I always hear about the deep cleaning, the virus, when it's on a surface, even if nothing was done, if the place was abandoned and not entered for 3 days, the virus dies. Is that correct?
You probably have to ask that question later on in the day.
Okay, I'll do that. I just noticed it. Yeah, you're right. You probably have I just thought they might know from the safety protocols that were put in place. You're probably right.
Yeah, I don't, unless Ms. Ivy, Ms. Martin, or Mr. Fessler have some medical background, maybe you can answer that, but I would say just hold off until later on the day.
Okay.
And let, someone else ask that one. Okay, Commissioner Overman, you recognize.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate it. And I too want to thank our staff that have jumped through amazing hoops. I applaud the proactive steps the county has shown and the leadership the county has shown in order, for example, the physical improvements, the safety protocols, the staff redeployment, moving people from one job to another in order to keep people fully employed as much as possible, given the job responsibility and exposure risks, and then to move to a virtual workforce and to adopt that as a way of keeping our employees safe. Our county has had to be enormously nimble to continue our service operations to meet high standards, and to meet the standards that we've set for customer service. We owe our executive leadership a world of thanks, and all of the team members as we've stepped to the plate to rapidly deploy a safety net for so many citizens. We still need to get that message out to our citizens. I did get a phone call just 2 days ago from a young man that was being threatened by their landlord to be evicted when he had a lease that didn't come due until November, to kick him out because he couldn't make August payments, even though he had gotten 30 days notice. And he was not aware of our housing program. So getting that message out that we're doing the stellar job we're doing to help our citizens survive this kind of impact is so important. But I too cannot thank you enough for rolling out a program, that actually multiple programs all at the same time, that normally take us a couple of years to figure out how to do. And we've done it in less than 4 or 5 months. So you deserve a world of thanks for the hard work that you're doing. And thank you, and I'll stop there.
Before we receive the report, there's one other person I think we need to thank. I don't know if he's listening today, but Mr. Mike Merrill, who was here with us when it came into contact with the rotary oscillator. Mike, I don't know if you're listening, but thank you very much. We appreciate all the work that you did while you were here. Is there a motion to accept the report?
So moved. Commissioner.
By Commissioner Merman, second by a whole lot of folks. Everybody. I'll just say seconded by other commissioners. See no further discussion. Please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is our future discussion items, and then after that, we have the 2 items that were removed from consent.
Well, let's take the 2 items removed from consent first and then come back to future discussion items.
Yes, sir. Those items were, the first one is item A50, removed by Commissioner Kemp, to approve the annual infrastructure assessment resolution. And George Cassidy is here to present that item.
Good morning, Commissioners. George Cassidy. So item A50 is our annual infrastructure assessment resolution for Water District. And that really is one project that had some water main extensions occur in that neighborhood. It affected 20 residents, and so they are paying for that, the cost of the construction over the assessment process. That's A50. A51 is totaling
let's take up A50 first. We come back to A51, Mr. Cassidy, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Kemp, you pull this.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for the explanation on A50. I wasn't quite sure what that was. But I pulled together A50 and A51, and we can talk more about A51. I was going to vote for both of them because obviously they will bring in income that we have already made available to do these programs, and I'll leave A50 out of it since we have that explanation now. Sorry, I didn't have a chance to get to that before. The second A51, I just always like to.
Commissioner Kemp, we're on A50 right now.
Okay, I'll just move approval on that.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Overman to approve A50. Commissioner Overman, you want to talk about A50?
No, I'm sorry. I forgot to take my hand down. I apologize. Apparently it's working now.
Commissioner Smith, you want to talk about A50?
Yes, sir. I want to ask Mr. Cassidy a question. So is this different than the typical impact fee assessment? It sounded like this was an assessment for some unusual repairs that are needed. Can you explain that, please?
Yes, ma'am. So we have, Water Resources essentially has 3 assessment programs. The first is the infrastructure improvement item. And so if a community needed fire hydrants or they needed a water main extended to their neighborhood, we would approach that and design it, build it, and then be reimbursed through the assessment process by the residents. That's very similar to our reclaimed water improvement unit, where a neighborhood will actually approach us about having reclaimed water. We will, if we have 51% or better of the community wanting that, then we'll design it, we'll construct it, and they reimburse the county the construction costs through an annual assessment process. The last one, which is the one you're probably most familiar with and hearing about, is the impact fee assessment program. And so that is where new homes, new commercial establishments are spreading their impact fees over a 20-year period of time. So those 3 programs are discrete and separate from one another. These items that are before you today, we're obligated to total up the amounts for the tax collector and report to them so that they can be put on the tax roll. And that is a requirement in our ordinance and our bond documents that we have to give the tax collector due notice of the amounts to be collected on our behalf on the tax bill. So that's what you're seeing before you today.
And to follow up, this particular one, A50, is 20 houses in the Lake Chapman or Chapin district or whatever, and they approached the county. So each of the homeowners, all 20 homeowners, or is this one developer asked for this and it'll be passed on to the CDD, or how did this work?
Commissioner, I'm not sure I have all the details on that. Lake Chapman area is up in Lutz area. And so I would suspect, given the history of that area, they probably had a need for drinking water and approached the county about it. I suspect that's the case.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, second by Commissioner Overman to approve item A50. Please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, Mr. Cassidy, A51.
Yes, sir. A51, we're asking that the board approve the 2020 annual impact fee assessment resolution for the county's water and wastewater system and establish the impact fee assessment unit non-ad valorem assessment rule. This basically takes all of the properties that we have in all of our assessment units and establishes that amount that is owed for the fiscal for the upcoming year, and we deliver that to the tax collector's office to be placed on the property owner's tax bill.
Move approval.
Hold up. Commissioner Kemp, you pull this?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to make a few points about this and ask, and I'm glad to have Mr. Cassidy here and Ms. Wise to ask about this in particular. $28,119,943. That's an annual fee that Hillsborough County has bonded out. And those are liens on people's houses, tax liens on people's houses throughout Hillsborough County, correct?
Commissioner, I don't believe all of that amount has been bonded. There are portions that are, but not all of it. Yes, ma'am. But yes, those portions that are would have an ability to collect that against with a lien or a forbearance. Yes, ma'am.
And I know you're very familiar with this program and how it's, because I've talked to you about it extensively. And from what I understand, Hillsborough County, not even the city of Tampa, Plant City or Temple Terrace, they don't do this. But there's no other jurisdiction in the state of Florida that I was able to hear about that has any program that is like this, where they subsidize new development throughout the single family homes and put it as a tax lien on the property for a period of 20 years. You weren't familiar with any other jurisdiction that does that, correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, so we're unique in doing that. So I just wanted to point out to the commissioners again that we have this burden. We have this fee that's put on the liens on the homes of single families throughout Hillsborough County as a tax lien. As we just heard about the PACE program, same thing. This is has been traditionally $4,000. We raise these impact fees to $8,000, put on at what Commissioner Smith established was basically 15% interest, has to be tracked by the clerk's office and is, I can tell you for sure, vastly misunderstood and by the consumers, by the homeowners, I hope, and real estate agents that I've talked to. And I hope that we don't see a lot of these come due and they're not able to pay them in the future when they should have been wrapped into the original mortgages in ways that were manageable and cost less. So I'll just put that out there. I will be supporting this. Obviously, we have to bring in this income. But again, this program, I think, is one that is a lose-lose-lose for everybody, but for single-family developers, maybe the bonds people, but it's hurtful to the consumers and to what we need to do to make sure that our infrastructure is well supported and that this money is garnered upfront, not over the 20 years. Thanks.
Commissioner Smith, briefly.
Yes, sir. I just want to clarify a couple of things. I think it was 13% extra fees that we tack on in our water assessment program, which it shares a lot of really bad features with the PACE program, which we all agreed to rescind today for the same reasons. In our water assessment program, just like in the PACE program, homeowners end up with an assessment on their tax bills for 20 years. And just like the PACE program, that 20-year loan tacks on a whole lot of interest and hefty fees. So the homeowner pays much more over time than the actual cost of the water hookup services. It's essentially a tax increase. And I'm going to keep working to eliminate this program just like we did the PACE program until, and hope we can get that done sometime. But in this backup that we got, it's only a list of the properties that would come into an assessment unit. And I know when I talked about the hefty interest and collection fees that are added to this, burdening the homeowners on their tax bills, I did get a promise from staff that they were going to look at reducing the interest, at least part of it. I think we were charging 5% interest plus a whole other 8% worth of fees. So Mr. Cassidy, on all of these that are before us, what is the interest that is being charged?
You know, we looked at the carrying costs for the loan, essentially the 20-year loan. And so we revisited that, Commissioner, and we've reduced it from 5% to 4%. There are additional, as you had mentioned, there are additional administrative costs, some of that collected by the tax collector for processing the payments. And then there is an amount for early payment or late payment for when the tax is actually paid or when the amount is paid. So I don't think it totals over 10%, but it's certainly in the 8 to 9% range.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
Oh, Overman made the motion. I second
Right,
it.
Commissioner Overman. I stopped the motion, so make the motion again, Commissioner Overman.
I move approval.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Overman, second by Commissioner Merwin to approve item 851. Seeing no further discussion, please call the roll.
Miller,
Yes.
Hagan,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Merman,
Yes.
Overman,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Ms. Wise.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only item left are future discussion items.
Any future discussion items? Any future discussion items? Seeing no hands, we're back at 1:30 for our emergency management meeting dealing with COVID-19. And having said that, I'll see you then, and we adjourn.
Thank you.
See you at 1:30,
Thanks.
everybody.
See y'all.
Thank you, everyone.
1:30.